Hello and welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name is Brian. This is going to be the first video in a series where I'll be growing some tomatoes, herbs, and vegetables in these Vego garden self-watering planters. I want to first thank Vego Garden for sending these planters over along with some seedlings to get us started. We also have our own seedlings that we're going to put in here as well. So please come back and see how they're doing. In this video, I'm going to be doing an unboxing video. And just like the rest of the video series, this video is intended to help you decide whether these planters will work for you or not. And afterwards, I hope you stick around where I'll be talking some more about what I hope to achieve with this video series. In short, not only to help you decide whether you want to purchase these planters or not, but also for new gardeners, there will be a lot of helpful information on how to start your garden and growing some common plants. And you don't need these types of planters to do that. So please stick around for future videos. And without further ado, let's get into the boxes, or this box, and then we'll put together the self-watering planter. I'll also be talking about some of my initial thoughts about them. So we have 3 planters, and the color I picked is sage green. We have sage green raised bed planters in our backyard, and I wanted to match that up a little bit as well. But they do come in a lighter color, kind of like a off-white and gray. So let's see what's in this box. We got the self-watering planter Trellis. It's got the guide, and I looked at this online. So Vego Garden has that online as well. You have this nice little cover for the package, and then you have in here the planter along with the watering gauge and trellis. So let's move the box out of the way so you can see this better. Okay, and then you have this thing here, which is the self-watering gauge. So it lets you know how much water there is. We'll set this aside here. And then you have in here what looks like the trellis. So we'll be assembling this in a second. And then this is your self-watering planter base. So down here is where the water is going to sit. And then you pop on this insert, and your grow medium goes in here. I read that it fills 1 cubic feet of grow medium. And then you have here the hole for, or I should say the port for the self-watering wand here. So you can stick it in here like this. It goes in here. And then this is the opening or port for filling your water right here. And one of the interesting features about this self-watering planter is that there is on the very bottom an adjustment for how much watering your plant to give your soil medium or plant. So this is very interesting. This is something that I haven't seen before. So let's put together the trellis, and then I'm going to give you some more additional thoughts about this self-watering planter. We got our 3 self-watering planter trellises put together. I quickly realized how sturdy these supporting rods and poles are, and I was able to quickly put them together without worrying about bending them. And in doing so, the metal felt more like it's aluminum. So I took a magnet to it, and it doesn't magnetized, so it's either aluminum or some type of stainless steel that is non-magnetic. I wasn't able to find out what material these are from their website, so I emailed them, and hopefully I can get an answer back for us shortly. The trellis, you can see they're at varying heights. This is the standard height that you will get from out of the box. And then over here, I wanted to illustrate that if you have multiple planters, you can adjust the height by taking one section and placing it over here. I'm about 5'3", not very tall, and with an additional section to the standard, I think we got a top height about maybe 5'7" or 5'8" inches. One thing I noticed about the trellis is that they're at the very top, there are these nice holes on them, and I think that might be beneficial later on because we could potentially string a vertical trellis down the middle to help with plants stay in the center. So I've noticed when using these types of trellises in the past, a tomato plant will like to flop over. But if we can keep it center, all the better. At the very least, these trellises prevent them from just flopping over and hitting the ground. And they're going to be helpful for things like cucumbers, I feel. So that's a nice thing about the trellis. The other thing about a trellis I found is very necessary, even though if you were to plant something that you don't feel will benefit from a trellis. Here in urban gardens, we have things that like to dig up our plants, and those are your raccoons, possums, and skunks. I found that having a surround with a trellis keeps them out of our planters and getting our plants dug up. So that's one of the more frustrating things as a gardener is you have a plant growing happily, it gets dug up, root shock, and you have to start over in many cases. So even if you don't think you're going to need a trellis, I'm glad that Vego Garden included it, and by including it, it brings the value, increases the value, because if you were to buy this separately, if they added this as accessory, it's probably going to cost a little bit more. So I'm glad they included it. The other thing about this trellis is that you can quickly put a frost cloth on it. So here in Southern California, even though we can grow year-round essentially, there are some months where it'd be nice if we can just quickly throw a frost cloth over and get even more out of our climate. So if you're in a colder climate, this is great. You can throw a frost cloth over it. The last thing I want to mention is the sex appeal of these planters, and they are, from what I can tell, designed with that in mind, and that's why we're in the living room here versus our greenhouse, is that they're designed for if you wanted to grow something indoors and you had a nice grow light, even if you have, like, for instance, these ceiling lights, you can put in a grow light and set your plant right underneath. And by grow light, I mean replace it with a grow light quality bulb. Set your plant underneath and you can grow a plant in here, especially if you have nice sunlight coming in. So I think the primary users are going to be for those that are more looking to stylize your house or your patio or even your porch and balcony. So these are great for that. Especially with the watering reservoir, it allows you to not have to worry too much about watering your plants. You can kind of set it and forget it. For me, I'm going to be using it in the garden. And so we're going to use this to add a little bit of style and appeal to our garden. And so we're going to really give this thing a real good test drive. The last thing I want to talk about is the general design of self-watering planters. And I've used and product tested some in the past, and I've never been happy about them. And in fact, when Vego Garden contacted me about potentially using their self-watering planter, I was very hesitant because of prior experience. And when I looked over their design, I was satisfied because it seemed to take care of two major issues that I had with self-watering planters in the past. And that is how they allowed for and attracted vermin and vector. The planters in the past had these wide openings that allowed vermin to go in and nest. And the wide openings also allowed for mosquitoes to go in and breed. And here in warm Southern California, daytime mosquitoes have become a normal terror for us. Their bites are really bad, and they come during the daytime when we're in the garden, whereas our native mosquitoes tend to come out at night where we're not outside and getting bit up. So not only do we want to prevent these daytime mosquitoes from breeding, they are very, very prolific breeders. They can breed in just a little cup of water. We want to make sure that these containers are sealed off. And so you have the watering port here. It's sealed off, and I like that. And I looked around, and everything in the chamber looks to be sealed off. Overall, this thing is pretty tight, airtight, when it comes to keeping out vermin and vector. Very important for me, and I think it's very important for Southern California growers as well, because as I said earlier, all you need is just a little bit, a cap full of water, and you're going to be making your neighborhood not very happy with you. So as I was mentioning that, I want to talk about this reservoir here that allows you to adjust how much water it holds. I think this is a very cool feature, and we're going to be seeing if we're going to actually utilize it, but it's more, I think, for indoor growers. You can adjust it. And if you're growing inside, as Vego Garden says in their manual, you got to make sure that you have a way to catch the excess water, because it just uses natural physics to dissipate or discharge any water that is above the level. So you're going to need some kind of tubing to catch that water. Otherwise, keep it up in the 90 degree angle, and that should be fine. And then the other feature that this thing has is this watering gauge. So you have this plunger that goes up and down according to how much water there is in the reservoir. And that's my initial impressions of this. Oh, it also has casters, so our table's not on a level spot here, so it's rolling off, but you can see how the casters are rolling. And going back to what I said earlier about the design, when I look at it and analyze it, it's tailored for the indoor space, the patio space, and then we can add on the porch and balcony space where you're going to have a level surface, and so you have these casters that are going to roll around. The casters are very minimalistic, so don't expect them to roll over something really bumpy, like if you had a paved surface where you have ridges and stuff. Don't expect it to roll too smoothly, but it can roll. So we have some rug here, and it rolls a little bit, but as you add weight to this, it may not roll as well. So those are some things to keep in mind and look out for. And that's pretty much it. This is the Vego Garden self-watering planter. Thank you, Vego, for contacting me and allowing me to share this product with my viewers. The only obligation to Vego is that I put in the video description an affiliate link, tag them, and a few other hashtags. And on this channel, I'm going to give you my honest opinion about the products that we use, and I agree to use products that I think will be successful to help the gardener. And with gardening, there are many types of gardeners. We have low budget regenerative gardeners to now gardening has a new space, which is the consumer 9-to-5 grower who doesn't have a lot of time and needs some type of product to make up for some of that time that you don't get to spend all day long, and then also sex appeal. So these things are going to look very stylish, and in manufacturing, when you have stylish stuff, there's additional costs, and that is something to keep in mind. So this is a nice product to use. With these planters, I'm very excited to get them outside, fill them up with some potting soil, fill them with plants, and get them underway. That's going to be in our third video in this series. And once again, you don't have to have these specific types of planters to get good gardening information from this series. I'm going to be talking about soil, and especially if you're a new gardener, there's a lot of soil choices when you go to the garden center. So I'm going to be diving in on some of the budget-friendly options to fill them up. So in our second video, we're going to be unboxing seedlings that Vego Garden sent over. Seedlings along with these raised planters or some of their latest offerings. So we're going to check them out and see what they look like and how they package it and all that stuff in our second video. So I hope you check back for the rest of the videos in this series, and thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.